Your sexual energy is the most valuable resource you possess, yet most men throw it away multiple times per week without a second thought. They treat their life force like it's infinite and worthless, not understanding they're literally draining their wealth with every release. Sexual energy isn't just some abstract spiritual concept. It's concentrated biological capital that your body invests serious resources to produce. When you release, you're spending this capital for a few seconds of pleasure. When you retain, you're accumulating wealth that compounds across three critical dimensions: physical vitality that regenerates your body, spiritual power that elevates your consciousness, and cognitive capacity that multiplies your mental abilities. The difference between men who waste this resource and men who conserve it is the difference between staying broke and building real wealth. Here's the logic that makes retention the most obvious investment decision you'll ever make. The physical economics of sexual energy. Your body treats semen production as a high-priority biological investment, allocating significant nutrients, minerals, proteins, and metabolic resources to create each load. Zinc, selenium, amino acids, vitamins, hormones. Your system pulls these valuable compounds from general circulation and concentrates them into seminal fluid. This is why semen is described as concentrated essence. It literally contains your body's most valuable biological materials synthesized through complex processes. Every time you release, you're forcing your body to redirect resources away from maintenance, repair, and optimization toward reproducing what was just lost. This creates a constant deficit, where your system never has surplus resources to invest in upgrading itself, because it's perpetually rebuilding the reserves you keep depleting. Conservation flips this equation completely by stopping the drain and allowing accumulated resources to be redirected toward regeneration, strength, and vitality. The nutrients that would have gone into replacement semen now fuel muscle growth, brain function, immune response, and cellular repair. Your body starts operating with a surplus budget instead of a deficit, which means it can invest in long-term improvements rather than just covering immediate costs. This is why retained men report faster recovery from workouts, better skin, stronger immune systems, and higher baseline energy. Their bodies have the resources available to optimize function instead of constantly scrambling to replace what's being lost. The spiritual currency of life force. Sexual energy has been recognized across spiritual traditions for thousands of years as the most concentrated form of life force available for spiritual work and consciousness elevation. Yogis practicing Kundalini awakening, Taoist masters cultivating Qi, tantric practitioners raising sexual energy up the spine. All these systems understood that sexual energy is spiritual currency that can be spent on physical pleasure or invested in awakening and enlightenment. The energy that creates new life contains creative power at the highest level, and when conserved rather than expelled, this power becomes available for creating new states of consciousness instead of new physical beings. This isn't metaphor, but direct energetic reality that becomes obvious to anyone who practices retention long enough to feel the spiritual charge building in their system. Retention builds energetic charge that accumulates in your body like voltage in a battery, and this charge directly determines what levels of consciousness and spiritual abilities you can access. Higher states of awareness require higher energy to power them. You can't run advanced spiritual functions on a depleted battery any more than you can run demanding software on a dying phone. As your charge builds through months of retention, you start experiencing states that were previously inaccessible: heightened intuition, synchronicities, moments of unity consciousness, energetic sensitivity, and other phenomena spiritual traditions describe. This isn't random, but the direct result of having sufficient spiritual currency accumulated to purchase access to these elevated states. Every release depletes your spiritual wealth and locks you out of these higher levels, forcing you back to baseline consciousness, where most people remain trapped their entire lives, because they never build the energy required to transcend it. The cognitive compound interest. Your brain is the most energy-intensive organ in your body, consuming roughly 20% of your total energy, despite being only 2% of your body weight. When you're depleted from constant release, your brain operates in power saving mode with limited resources for higher functions like sustained focus, creative thinking, complex problem solving, and memory formation. Retention floods your system with the internal secretions and hormones that your brain uses as fuel for optimal function, particularly the compounds derived from conserved sexual energy that get converted into brain-nourishing substances. This is why cognitive improvements are among the most dramatic and consistent benefits reported. Mental clarity, sharper thinking, enhanced focus, better memory. Your brain finally has the resources it needs to operate at full capacity instead of running on fumes. The compounding effect is where cognitive wealth becomes exponential rather than linear. Each day of retention builds on all previous days, strengthening neural pathways for focus and discipline, while your brain operates with increasing efficiency as it adapts to abundant energy. Month 1 gives you noticeable improvements. Month 3 gives you capabilities you didn't have before. Month 6 puts you in a different cognitive category than most people entirely. The returns multiply because cognitive ability builds on itself. Better focus allows more learning creates more neural connections. More connections enable higher level thinking produces better results create more opportunities. This upward spiral is only possible when your brain has consistent access to the energy retention provides.